Tonight on SUTV News, we recap all the week's action in Washington.
And SHIP celebrates its 150th birthday.
All that and more right now. Thanks for joining us on SUTV News. I'm Bailey Casada.
And I'm Jordan Hanley. The idea of Shippensburg University was born just 150 years ago. During February of 1870, Shippensburg citizens conducted a meeting where they invited the Pennsylvania Superintendent of Public Institution to consider Shippensburg as a location for the Cumberland Valley State Normal School. With the superintendent's approval, a group of committed Shippensburg citizens fundraised for the project, and just 1 year later, in 1871, the foundation for Old Main was laid. Shippensburg University is now expecting to conduct a year-long 150th celebration that honors the establishment of the Cumberland Valley State Normal School and how it transformed into the university that we know today. Stay tuned for details as they are released upon the celebration. Shippensburg University received a grant for $100 for the Gear Up program. The goal is to help students in low-income neighborhoods get the support they need. Vice President of Enrollment Management, Dr. Donta Truss said, quote, "We're ready to welcome these students to campus and support them as they work towards educational success," end quote. Shippensburg University will partner with Harrisburg, Allentown, and Norristown Area School District on this effort. The Pennsylvania State Senate confirmed governing appointments for 3 members of the Shippensburg University Council of Trustees: George McElwee, Douglas Harbach, and Glenn R. Grell. McElwee will begin his first term, which will last 6 years. Harbach begins his 4th term as a trustee and currently serves as vice chair, and Grell begins his 5th consecutive term as a trustee, serving on the council since 1995.
With the beginning of February brings the midst of flu season. Hundreds of students around SHIP's campus are feeling the effects of the illness during this time. The CDC recommends that college students get 8 hours of sleep, eat a healthy, balanced diet, wash their hands thoroughly with soap and water, and to get plenty of exercise. For more information from the CDC, visit www.cdc.com/family/college. Dr. Joseph Zume, an associate professor of Geology and Earth Science, has been appointed to the Cumberland County Planning Commission. The goal of the commission is to work with communities in the county to introduce policies from aiding economic development, increasing housing, and help protect the environment. Since Dr. Zume is a resident of Cumberland County, he feels that he should use his expertise to help enhance the community. Cumberland County is ranked in the top 5 for the best counties to live in Pennsylvania. Dr. Zume hopes to increase the county's position on the list during his time on the commission. After 5 years in the making, Dr. Santalucia's new book, The Book of Dirt, is getting ready to hit the shelves. We asked for insight on what the book covers.
And it confronts homophobia, misogyny, and addiction. And it traces some of the historical oppressions of women, specifically to Pennsylvania, and my personal life.
Dr. Santalucia hopes her work will continue the conversations surrounding equality and the LGBTQ community. The set release date is February 20th, and there will be a reading in Midtown Scholar Bookstore March 26th at 7 p.m. On Monday, people all across Iowa gathered to support their candidate for the start of the Democratic primary elections. But after hours of voting, no results were being announced. This was caused by a major glitch in the app that was being used to report the results from the precincts across the state, and an overwhelmed backup system that couldn't handle the load. Many Democrats up in arms about the issues, leading to a response from Iowa Democratic Party Chairman Troy Price.
The reporting of the results and circumstances surrounding the 2020 Iowa Democratic Party caucuses were unacceptable. As chair of the party, I apologize deeply for this.
Currently, 96% of precincts are reporting, and the race is too close to call. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders and former Pete Buttigieg are within 0.1% of each other, and both drawing 11 delegate votes. Democrats have a debate in New Hampshire Friday night, and then the voting begins in New Hampshire primary on Tuesday.
The State of the Union address was delivered on Tuesday evening from President Trump. SUTV's Nolan Hoffman has more.
President Trump's third State of the Union address brought some controversy along with some highlights.
Madam Speaker, the President of the United States.
President Trump gave his State of the Union address before a bitterly divided Congress just hours before the Senate is expected to acquit him. In those 78 minutes, not once did the president mention impeachment. But before he even started speaking, a sign of tension between Trump and House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. President Trump seemingly ignoring Pelosi as she extended her hand to greet him before she turned and shrugged to her caucus. The House Speaker addressing the apparent snub in a tweet, writing, "Democrats will never stop extending the hand of friendship to get the job done for the people. We will work to find common ground where we can, but will stand our ground where we cannot." Immediately after the president finished his address, Pelosi ripped up her copy of the speech in full view of the cameras.
Why did you give us a little bit more on that?
Because it was a manifesto of mistruths.
President Trump used the address to make the case for his re-election, highlighting the economy and sprinkling in a handful of made-for-TV moments.
Your husband is back from deployment. He is here with us tonight, and we couldn't keep him waiting any longer.
Including a military family reunion.
I will now ask the First Lady of the United States to present you with the honor, please.
And even awarding controversial conservative radio host Rush Limbaugh the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Limbaugh announced this week that he's battling advanced lung cancer. Trump's Republican allies applauding his talking points while Democrats mostly sat silently through the evening. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer delivered the Democratic response, using the opportunity to remind Americans that President Trump was impeached.
The truth matters. Facts matter. And no one should be above the law. It's not what those senators say. Tomorrow, it's about what they do that matters.
But in the end, the bitter rivalry between the president and Pelosi taking center stage. The White House and Trump's GOP allies slamming the House Speaker's gesture.
It was disgraceful. It was disgusting.
You can tear up the speech, but you can't tear up the accomplishments. And that's what this race is going to be about in 2020.
Some Democrats insisting outrage should be directed at Trump for using the State of the Union campaign rally.
Let's hope we didn't distract you from the lack of factual accuracy in the speech, the divisiveness of the speech, and the blatant appeal to his base, and very similar to his speeches in his rallies. It was a State of the Union designed to appeal to the base, not to bringing our country together.
The talk after the president's speech was his decision to turn away a handshake with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and also Pelosi's decision to literally rip up her copy of the president's speech. This certainly comes at no surprise, as Trump and Pelosi have been at each other's necks ever since the president took office. I'm Nolan Hoffman with SUTV News.
President Donald Trump speaking out at the White House after being acquitted in a Senate impeachment trial, saying this should never happen to another president. But meanwhile, over at the Capitol, a very different message from the Speaker of the House. Camila Brunell has a report from Washington.
Struggling with classes? Are you falling behind?
An acquitted President Trump walking into a standing ovation and describing what he says he's been through since he decided to run for president.
It was evil, it was corrupt, it was dirty cops, it was leakers and liars.
With praises to his legal team, the president reiterating his innocence.
We went through hell unfairly, did nothing wrong, but this is what the end result is.
But over at Capitol Hill, a very different message.
You're impeached forever. You're never getting rid of that scar.
Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying the House will continue with oversight.
You were impeached for undermining the security of our country, jeopardizing the integrity of our elections, and violating the Constitution of the United States.
The bad blood between the two with no end in sight.
Nancy Pelosi is a horrible person. And she wanted to impeach a long time ago when she said, I pray for the president. I pray for the president. She didn't pray.
I pray hard for him because he's so off the track of our Constitution. He really needs our prayers. So he can say whatever he wants.
In Washington, I'm Camila Bernal reporting.
President Trump now focuses on his re-election campaign and trying to gather the support of the American people once again. When we come back in world news, 2 cruise ships are quarantined due to the coronavirus.
And we tell you why cancer is on the rise.
Are you struggling with classes? Are you falling behind? The Learning Center is here to help you succeed. The Learning Center is the university's leading source of academic resources for SHIP students. Located in Mowry Hall, the Learning Center offers
News will preview the Lighthouse Leadership Academy, a leadership academy hosted by student trustee Stephen Washington. The Slate Speaks will discuss Dickinson College's sit-in protesting the handling of sexual assault cases on its campus. SHIP Life will deliver a feature on underutilized resources available in the library. Arts and Entertainment will reveal the Relics from the Rebel exhibit at the Shape Gallery in downtown Shippensburg. Sports will catch you up on the men's basketball's victory over Westchester last night. Also, send in a free love line to somebody you care about in next week's edition. Find the submission form and more online.com.
A plane in Turkey crashes and nearly 200 people are injured.
Brandon Keist has this week's world news. Brandon?
3 people are dead and nearly 179 are injured after a Turkish plane crash-landed in Istanbul yesterday evening. The Pegasus airline flight had a rough landing that sent the plane skidding all the way to the end of the runway and causing it to fall off 100 feet into an empty field. It broke into several pieces and passengers were forced to escape through the cracks. The plane was a Boeing 737-800 and was carrying 177 passengers and 6 crew members. Prosecutors are now investigating to find out what exactly went wrong. Some 350 Americans made it back to the U.S. yesterday after being evacuated from Wuhan, China, the epicenter of the deadly coronavirus outbreak. Those citizens will now undergo a mandatory 14-day quarantine inside of military bases in California. 3 bases in California are holding a total of around 500 people, with another flight of evacuees expected to come later this week and will be delivering to bases in Nebraska and Texas. The confirmed number of cases of the virus in the U.S. is now up to 12. 2 cruise ships, both carrying a total of over 7,000 people, are under quarantine after passengers and crew were possibly exposed to the coronavirus. The cruise ship Diamond Princess had 20 confirmed cases of the coronavirus, 3 of which being from Americans, while currently anchored off of the Japanese coast near Tokyo. Those infected were taken off the ship to nearby hospitals, while nearly 4,000 people still remain on the ship, including 428 Americans. World of Dreams is the second ship that is under quarantine in a Hong Kong dock after finding out that previous cruise guests were infected with the virus. So far, 30 crew members have reported feeling sick and are now being treated in local hospitals in Hong Kong. Cancer cases could be on the rise in the next few decades. Here's Mandy Gaither with this week's Health Minute.
If current trends continue, the world risks an increase of 60% in cancer cases over the next 2 decades. That warning from the World Health Organization, which is urging cancer services to be stepped up. The problem isn't more kinds of cancer, but overwhelmed health agencies. The organization predicts more than 80% of new cancer cases will be in low and middle income countries where survival rates are currently lowest. Why? Those countries are committing their energy toward fighting infectious diseases and improving maternal and child health at the expense of the long-term challenge of diagnosing and treating various cancers. Last year, more than 90% of high-income countries reported comprehensive treatment services for cancer in the public health system, while fewer than 1 in 6 of low-income countries did so. The WHO Director General suggests we could save 7 million lives over the next decade by targeting the right science to each country, expanding universal health coverage, and by getting key members of each country's healthcare community to collaborate more. For today's Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
That's it for World News. Now back to you guys at the desk.
When we come back in entertainment, we cover the best commercials from the big game.
And the Fast and Furious gang are back for one last ride.
Student government, but what does that mean exactly for the student? Let us show you better yet. Student reps are hands-on listening and advocating for student needs at SHIP.
Student government is the Student Government Association designed to help students get their voices heard on campus.
It's more than an organization, it's our future.
Quite bring out the shorts and shades just yet. For tonight, there will be lots of rain with a low of 42. Tomorrow, the high will be 46 with a chance of rain and a low of 28. Fog will also float through the air on Friday, accompanied by cloudy skies. Now let's move on to the 5-day. Sadly, our weekend stays the same with dark clouds all Saturday with a high of 39 and a low of 29. Things start to heat up as the high on Sunday will be 46 and a low of 37. As we move into Monday and Tuesday, you can expect highs in the upper 50s with rainy conditions, and Wednesday to be just as rainy with a high of 44. So keep the sunglasses and sun hats locked away, the umbrellas and raincoats for a little while longer. Have a great weekend. Let's send it over to Hannah with this week's entertainment.
The big game between the San Francisco 49ers and the Kansas City Chiefs was this past Sunday. Throughout the game, fans got to watch some great commercials. Post Malone appeared in a Bud Light commercial that advertised their new hard seltzer drink. Malone is famous for loving Bud, and the ad looked into his mind as he struggled to make a decision at the store. Audiences experienced some major emotions when Google aired the commercial Loretta. The ad told the story of an elderly man and his wife who uses a Google Assistant to help him remember her. And finally, Tom Brady made a big announcement about Hulu. He also put aside any rumors about his retirement by stating, quote, "I'm not going anywhere." The future is female for the Star Wars franchise. That's what Lucasfilm's president Kathleen Kennedy said this past Sunday during the 2020 BAFTA Awards. Kennedy reaffirmed that Lucasfilm Studios will hire a female director to work on a future Star Wars film. While the Skywalker saga ended this past December, Kennedy believes that female directors will have better opportunities through Disney's streaming service, Disney+. So far, Lucasfilm Studios has hired female directors for future episodes of The Mandalorian and a new unnamed series about Jedi Obi-Wan Kenobi. Universal Studios released a new trailer for the upcoming Fast and Furious movie during the big game. Following the events of 2017's Fate of the Furious, Dominic Toretto, played by Vin Diesel, and his family must face old and new enemies. One of them is Jacob, a deadly assassin and Dom's long-lost brother, who teams up with the crew's previous villain, Cypher. The film will include familiar faces like Michelle Rodriguez, Jordan Brewster, and Charlize Theron, while John Cena will make his debut. Justin Lin returns to direct the film, making this the 5th film he has directed within the franchise. Fast and Furious 9 opens in theaters on May 22nd. That's it for entertainment. Back to Bailey and Jordan at the desk.
When we come back in sports, men's and women's basketball both pick up wins.
We have more for you after the break.
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in
their final meet before the conference championship. Both Hunter Keck and Elijah Zinn finished the 50-yard freestyle to tie for 22.23 seconds. The women achieved 8 PSAC cuts in this last regular season meet. Gabriella Johnson achieved a season best at 56.02 seconds for the 100-yard freestyle. The 2020 PSAC Championship will be held February 9th through February 22nd at the Graham Aquatic Center in York for both the men and the women. On to wrestling. Shippensburg Wrestling faced off against Pitt Johnstown on Friday, losing with the score of 44-0. SUTV's Tiana Thomas has more.
The Ship Raiders were unable to compete against the PSAC number 4 ranked Mountain Cats on Friday night. Pitt Jonestown claimed all 10 bouts along with 5 won by bonus points. Junior Pat Dugan managed to achieve a takedown during the 157-pound match, but lost 7-3 against redshirt freshman Nate Smith. Redshirt junior Alexi Castro nearly tied at 3-3 during the 197-pound match, with junior Alex Delp barely able to secure victory. Ship Wrestling will be back in action on Saturday, February 8th, starting at 10 a.m. with 4 back-to-back games. A Senior Day ceremony will also be held before the 10 a.m. match. For S News, I'm Tiana Thomas.
Men's basketball tied a single-game school record with 18 three-pointers last night as the Raiders picked up an 83-58 win over Westchester. Junior Jake Biss made a career-high 6 three-pointers and finished the game with 26 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds, and 2 steals. Senior Lamar Talley and sophomore Carlos Carter added 3-pointers each and finished with 9 points. This is Ship's first season series sweep off Westchester since moving to the Eastern Division in the 2008-2009 season. Ship will travel to Mansfield this Saturday. Tip-off is at 3 o'clock. Women's basketball picked up an 83-61 win over Westchester behind the duo performance of juniors Ariel Jones and Destiny Jefferson. Jones was responsible for 34 points, 11 of 17 from the field, and 7 for 7 from the free throw line. This is her 30-point game of career and 6th of the season. Jefferson added another 22 points, tallied 4 rebounds, and had 4 assists. Jefferson went 5 of 6 from three-point range, tying her career high for three-pointers in a game. Ship looks to remain the number 1 division as they head to the Mansfield this Saturday for a matchup at 1 o'clock. Moving over to track. Aaron Arp Jr. and Charles Bowman were both named PSAC Athlete of the Week for indoor track. At the Penn State Invitationals, both men ran 7.99 seconds in 60-meter hurdles and dropped 47-second splits on the 4x4 relay. They are tied for 5th nationally in 60-meter hurdles, where only 7 men in NCAA Division II broke the 8-second mark during the 2019 season. This is Bowman's second award and Arp's first of his career. Indoor track is set to meet next on Saturday in Penn State. The men's indoor track team attended meets at Penn State and Bucknell on Saturday. The men's 4x400 relay team stole the show for the Raiders after posting an NCAA provisional qualifying time of just over 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Their time moved them up to 5th on the national leaderboard. Aaron Arp Jr. and Charles Bowman, both members of the 4x400 relay team, ran sub 8 seconds in the 60-meter hurdles. After these performances, the men's team is now ranked 17th in the nation, their highest ranking since the 2016 preseason ranking GS. Sticking with track, women's indoor track and field 2020 Penn State National Invitational last Saturday. The team had a 3-person delegation, the esteemed event held in the Horkat Ashenfelter indoor track facility. All 5 of Ship's performances met the PSAC qualifying standards. Junior Rachel Bruno matched her personal best 100-meter race with 25.4 seconds, and also competed in the 400-meter run with a time of 58.2 seconds. The women's track and field team will compete next weekend at Penn State Sykes and Seebach Challenge. That's all for sports. Back to you guys at the desk.
When we come back, a school in Wisconsin has a ball.
Bailey and I have more for you after the break.
Oh, you got it. You know, since I got rid of my car, I really enjoy walking.
Okay. God, no.
Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates.
Oh, you're home early.
You live with your mom?
That'll set your game back a few years. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving...
Sporting events, you know, they're usually not the track star. They're not. So if this can make them feel special this day by winning a big prize, that's what I want. I want them to feel special.
The total cost for the dance was around $3,000, and donations funded the celebration as well as the door prizes and raffles for the kids.
That's it for SUTV News. I'm Jordan Hanlon.
And I'm Bailey Casada. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at SUTV News, and check out our website, sutvnews.org.
We'll see you next week.